This is 5 on 20 News. My name is Richard Aguirre.
And I'm Tammy King, and we're coming to you live from our studio in downtown Tucson. It is Thursday, February 1st. First in local headlines, Rich.
Local headlines. The Arizona House of Representatives voted to expel Representative Don Shooter from the House after he was found to have repeatedly harassed a female colleague. 56 of the 60 state House members voted to expel Shooter, with several more members who had yet to cast a vote. State House rules require that 40 of 60 members need to vote for expulsion. Arizona House Speaker J.D. Misnerd also implemented a new anti-harassment policy and banned alcohol in the new state house, according to an announcement on Wednesday. The move comes a day after Misnerd stripped Shooter of his committee assignments. Misnerd says yesterday that he would issue a formal censor against Shooter, although he stopped short of calling for his resignation. But Misnerd called for Shooter to resign after he challenged parts of the investigation's conclusions. Shooter was originally suspended from his post after 8 women, including 3 sitting state legislators, accused him of inappropriate sexual advances. One legislator, Michelle Ugenti-Rita, claims that Shooter told her he was in love with her and once left her a bottle of tequila with a romantic note. Shooter didn't deny either event, and an investigation found credible evidence that it occurred. The alcohol ban also came because of Shooter, who was known for his wild alcohol-soaked parties in his office. Shooter spent the final day drinking a 5th of whiskey alone in his office and sexually harassing himself.
Wow, I want someone to bring me a bottle of alcohol, but I don't want to be harassed. It's a fine line.
Yep.
Okay. A bill introduced by Arizona Republican Senator David Farnsworth would make it a felony to publish unverified information about marijuana dispensaries. The bill would punish any listing or menu service in Arizona that publishes information about a dispensary without verifying its registration and address. Medical marijuana business opposed the bill, claiming that the bill is an attempt to block their business operations. They also say that the bill violates the First Amendment rights to free speech, and it would limit important information for patients of medical marijuana. Under Senate Bill 1060, any company that published information about a dispensary without an official certificate would be guilty of a Class 6 felony. A Class 6 felony is punishable by a minimum fine of $10,000. Another bill proposed by Farnsworth would make it illegal to promote the sale of marijuana on a highway billboard. Yet another bill proposed by Farnsworth would move $5 million from a medical marijuana fund to drug trafficking enforcement. Okay, Farnsworth, you don't like it, we get it. The bills are especially confusing since up until yesterday, drinking in the office of the state house was cool.
$10,000 is a lot of money. If I got fined $10, I'd have trouble paying that fine.
Yeah.
A group of Arizona lawmakers were aboard a train that crashed into a trash truck, killing 1 person and wounding dozens of others. The train was carrying Republican members of Congress from Washington, D.C. to a policy retreat in West Virginia. The train was derailed after hitting the truck, and Senator Jeff Flake was aboard the train when him and his wife said that he was near the front of the train when the crash occurred. He says that he was not injured, along with Arizona Representatives David Schweikert and Martha McSally, who tweeted that, "I'm on the train that crashed, but I'm okay." Representative Paul Gozer was also on the train and said, tweeted that all lawmakers were not injured and buses were on their way to pick them up. Gozer blamed the undocumented immigrants for the crash and said, "This is why we need the wall."
The Tucson Unified School District Board did not vote to reintegrate the city's Mexican American Studies program, whose ban has deemed unconstitutional by the federal judge. The board introduced a substitute motion on Tuesday night. Board members Adelita Grijalva and Crystal Ann Foster added a motion to continue the classes in January in what Foster called an olive branch to the other board members, who she said experienced hardship during the ban. but a substitute motion offered by board member Rachel Sedgwick, which nullified the motion by Foster and Grijalva. Essentially, the motion would have the school board keep the status quo and continue not to offer the Mexican American Studies program until a long-term solution is worked out. The substitute motion won 3-10 with Foster abstaining and Grijalva voting against it. Discussion on the item lasted about an hour, with Grijalva stating that the goal was not to be controversial, but to be supportive to the teachers. During a public comment section of the meeting, board advisor Cam Juarez said that teachers need to feel that they can teach these courses and not be slapped on the wrist. Board chairman Mark Stegman suggested a compromise to continue teaching the courses, but taking the Mexican out of the name and the content of the classes. The suggestion was met with an awkward silence, and then the meeting abruptly ended.
A Mesa man was named as a person of interest in last year's Las Vegas shooting. Douglas Haig was identified in the nearly 300-page report that were unsealed on Tuesday. Haig admitted to selling someone ammunition to the shooter, Stephen Paddock, who opened fire on 22,000 concert goers before killing himself. Haig said that, "I feel terrible. I'm still racking my brain for what I did. Why did I pick this up?" He says that he didn't detect anything unusual about Paddock. Police had first suspected Paddock and Haig of conspiring to carry out the attack since they met weeks before the shooting. But this theory was soon dismissed. Haig said that Paddock told him that he was going to put on a light show with the tracer bullets. It's unclear whether ammunition was used in the attack, which was the largest mass shooting in recent history. It's also unclear whether Haig will face any charges, but law enforcement officials say that he's been compliant with the requests for information, especially when police asked him if he had extra ammo lying around to sell for cheap. That's terrible, terrible shooting.
That was. A federal court struck down a Kansas law that would have punished supporters of boycott against Israel. The court ruled that the efforts to criminalize the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement were a violation of basic First Amendment rights guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution. The law was enacted last year by the Kansas legislature and requires that all state contractors certify that they are not engaged in the boycott of Israel. Esther Nunes, a teacher in the state public school system, decided to boycott goods made in Israel, motivated by the resolution enactment by the Mennonite Church, of which she was a member. A month later, Kuntz was offered a position at a new Kansas school. But before she could start, Kuntz replied that she was unable to sign the document. She was then told that no contract could be signed with her. In response to being denied the job, Kuntz joined with the ACLU, who sued the Commissioner of Education. They claimed that the school violated Kuntz's First Amendment rights by denying her a job. Numerous other states have implemented similar laws, including New York, where Governor Andrew Cuomo directed all agencies to terminate any businesses with companies that support a boycott of Israel. He also required his commissioners to compile a list of institutions and companies that directly or indirectly support a boycott. Maryland Democrat Senator Ben Cardin went even further to punish those who support the boycotts. Cardin, joined by 43 other senators, introduced a bill that would impose prison sentences and large fines for anyone working with international organizations that boycotted Israel. However, the bill was thrown out when the ACLU denounced it. Finally, not to be outdone, Texas went the furthest because it's Texas. The town of Dickinson required victims of Hurricane Harvey to sign a pledge not to boycott Israel as a condition of receiving relief aid. Christian churches in Texas will begin requiring a boycott pledge in order to receive eternal salvation.
Somebody tell that teleprompter person to stay with us, huh?
Yeah.
You know what I would like to boycott, Tammy, is setting my alarm in the morning.
Am I right? You're right. You're right. Hate that alarm.
Twitter says that there may have been as many as 1.4 million people that interacted with Russian content intended to influence the 2016 election. The company released their new figures yesterday, which doubled the original 650,000 estimate that they initially announced. The new figures account for those who engaged with or followed the Russian account, along with people who don't receive Twitter emails and can't be notified that they were affected. Screenshots of the notifications show that Twitter told users that they may have interacted with Russian content, but doesn't actually show them the specific content. The new figure came after Twitter received criticism for Democrats Andy Schiff and Dianne Feinstein. The two senators said the company had not provided a complete response of their questions about the potential Russian bot campaign. Democrats believe that Russian bots are pushing the hashtag release and the memo campaign. The campaign is encouraged to release the controversial House of Intelligence Committee memo that allegedly details improper surveillance of the Trump campaign individuals. White House sources say that the president is likely to release the memos after the urging Twitter user MAGA5X Trump for life, definitely not a Russian. That sounds peculiar to me.
Yeah, I don't do Twitter.
You're not on Twitter?
I'm not. I will be, though.
That's
I will.
fine. I'm not on Twitter either.
Oh, okay. Thought you were trying to convince me. Okay. Pennsylvania State Senate President Joe Scanardi said that he's refusing to hand over data requested by the Supreme Court in connection with a case involving unconstitutional gerrymandering. Early this month, the court ruled that the state's congressional map was drawn to give unfair advantage to Republicans running in the state in a process which is called gerrymandering. As a result, the court ordered the state draw a new map ahead of the year's election. The state ordered the General Assembly to hand over files that contain the current boundaries of all Pennsylvania municipals and precincts by yesterday. A lawyer of the General Assembly said that the group does not maintain these kind of files. Lawyers for Republican state legislators argued in a court filing that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court violated a clause that allows state legislators to handle redistricting. They requested that the Supreme put a hold on lower court ruling while it considers Republicans' argument. In related news, apparently you can pick and choose which laws you want to follow. Good news, since I didn't plan on paying that parking ticket anyway. Alrighty. So, are you sure?
Yeah, no, it's me.
All right. That's what I thought.
There's no space, but it's my head.
I thought it was. That's why I stopped. I wasn't going to pay that.
It seemed like you were going to read.
I wasn't.
The EPA delayed an Obama-era rule that would redefine the federal government's power over small waterways. The rule was designed to give the government power to regulate small waterways such as ponds, streams, and wetlands for pollution prevention. It was supposed to go into effect in 2015, but various courts have halted its implementation. Republicans say that the rule gives the federal government power over too much land. The Trump administration is looking to repeal the Clean Water Rule, but was rejected by the Supreme Court last month. EPA head Scott Pruitt said the rule would be delayed for 2 years to, quote, reduce confusion and provide certainty to America's farmers and ranchers. The Natural Resource Defense Council said the delay put water suppliers at risk and said it would sue to stop the delay. This morning, New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman also said he would take part in a multi-state lawsuit against the Trump administration over the delay. Schneiderman called the delay reckless and illegal. Before announcing the lawsuit, environmental groups like the Sierra Club and Earth Justice also said that they might take part in a lawsuit. Pruitt urged calm and told the various groups to calm down and drink a glass of tainted water.
Yum.
Tasty.
Yummy. The Trump administration renewed temporary protected status, or TPS, for 7,000 Syrian refugees, but says it will not accept any new applications from the country. For Syrians already in the country, their protections extend another 18 months. Their status had been set to expire on March 31st. Despite the renewal, the Department of Homeland Security will not designate Syria as a country where the conditions are too dangerous for citizens to return. This, even though the country is still in the middle of a deadly civil war that's encompassed virtually the entire country and has set millions fleeing. TPS extends protections to citizens of designated countries that have endured a major natural or man-made disaster until their home nations recover. The Trump administration has drastically reduced the program, saying that it has been abused. Homeland Security announced earlier this month that it would end protections for over 262,000 people from El Salvador. Last year, Homeland Security also ended protections for 59,000 Haitians in the country. However, the Trump administration is still eagerly welcoming refugee applications from Norway.
So sad.
Yeah, that's what's happening over at Norway. It is sad.
That's it. We did it.
Awesome.
This is 520 News. My name is Richard Aguirre.
And I'm Tammy King. Be sure to like and share and subscribe to our YouTube account. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for all your latest creative Tucson news and content.
And this Saturday, don't forget to come out to Tucson Improv Movement to watch my sketch comedy team at 9 o'clock.
All right. You can also feel free to get in touch with us at info@creativetucson.org. Thanks for watching. Stay creative, Tucson.
That's it.